Welcome back to Pillow Talk Sessions. I'm Kristian Lupinski, joined as always by my co-host, Jessica Gillingham.
Thanks, Kristian. And today we're joined by Nuno Trigo, who is the co-founder and co-CEO of Feel Group. We're going to talk about how the company has blended short-term rentals, experiences, transport, and flexible co-working spaces to create a truly hospitality-driven experience.
We'll also explore the operational shifts required to scale across different living models, how Feel Group is navigating evolving regulations, and what the future holds for vertical hospitality.
Nuno, thanks so much for joining us on Pillow Talk Sessions. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And you and I have seen each other at conferences, for many years. It feels sometimes like all the short-term rental and the flex conferences I go to, Nuno is there too. So really kind of excited to be able to have that opportunity to go a little bit deeper on this podcast. So welcome and thank you. But before we kind of kick off on the discussion, perhaps you can give our audience a sort of an overview of Feel Group and yourself to sort of set the scene.
Okay, thank you, Jessica, Kristian. First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. And my name is Nuno Trigo. I'm the co-founder and the co-CEO of Feel Group, a group that started in 2009 in Porto, Portugal. We started in short-term rental, and we are going to talk about this. But nowadays, we think that we are an hospitality group, a hospitality company. I'm also vice president of the Portuguese Short-Term Rental Association.
Excellent. And I think we can talk a bit about the association, because what you guys have done with advocacy with the association is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Nuno, welcome to the podcast. I think we should just kick off. And, the first topic that we're talking about is expanding from these short-term rentals to now flex living. As you mentioned, Feel Group started with short-term rentals and has since expanded into this flex living and co-working spaces. To start with, what are some key operational and service shifts required to successfully scale across these different models, while still maintaining a strong hospitality experience?
Yeah, Kristian, I think the best way to answer your question is to make the path of Feel Group since we started in 2009 in Porto. We start with a short-term rental traditional model. We used to manage isolated apartments in residential buildings in city center. And we have an incredible time to market because we don't have that many competitors, and we grew a lot. We grew a lot until 2015, 2016, I think. And then we start to have, or in this past, we start to have a lot of challenges that we must look for. First of all, it's difficult to scale maintaining a good customer service. I think that's the main point. Where when you have isolated apartments, all the operation is very difficult, and it's very difficult to maintain a good customer service. So that's the first challenges. Then in these days, in that days, we are always focused in leisure clients, and we want to also to have an offer for business travelers, another type of segments of markets. So that's another challenge that we have. Then we have the difficulty of differentiation from our competitors, because at the end we all do the same thing. We all do the management of isolated apartments. And the last one, of course, was regulation. We are starting in Portugal. We are almost a base case. We start to talk about regulation in 2014. In 2018, we have the first registration model. So in 2014, 15, we start to look at that, look at regulation and the challenges that we're gonna have in the future. So what did Feel Group do to try to mitigate that? We start what we call vertical hospitality. And what is vertical hospitality? Is a 360 offer for the client, for the visitors. And so we opened a new company in 2017 called Feel Discovery, to the countryside accommodation and experiences. Then we acquire a mobility company, our provider from transfer, ZT Mobility. Then we have the transfer services, and then I have urban accommodation, and then I have countryside accommodation. So three three things. Then I acquire a boat trip company, and I put a head on in the offer with the boat trip experience. And at the end, and the last one, it's 2021. We develop the flex working spaces, the co-working. And I'm saying flex working spaces because it's not only the traditional co-working, and we can talk a little bit more further about that, because it's not only co-working, the open space one, but it's a mix of things about flexible workspaces. And with that, we are able, finally, we were able to work not only leisure, we can work with business companies, and always focus in the best customer experience. And I think that's the path, the 15 years of path from Field Group until now, to be an hospitality group.
It's really interesting, Nuno, because I was speaking to someone earlier today, and they said basically for business owners, you've just got to constantly innovate. You can never stay still. You've got to constantly be working with challenges and innovating and changing what you're doing. And it feels like you've sort of done that kind of perfectly over that trajectory. And I guess when you started in 2009, I don't know if Airbnb, was that around the time, or was it even before?
Yeah, they started in 2008, but we only start to work with them in 2014, 13, 14, I think.
Yeah, so, but I think that sort of the trajectory of short-term rentals, vacation rentals, has kind of gone a path, hasn't it? Sort of from that time, just in all over the world as a sort of a growth of an asset class, and then getting the challenges when more property managers kind of come into a location, seeing it as as a business they'd like to try as well. But it's really unusual for us to see what you've done, which is diversify that whole hospitality offering. So with the experiences like buying a boat company, having the tours in the countryside, the villas in the countryside, so providing your guests with way more than just a building. That's a pretty unusual trajectory for operators to kind of, it's almost like you're becoming a tour operator. So that vertical hospitality, it's really interesting. And then, of course, going into the co-working bit. And I'd love us to talk about the co-working bit. But first, through that diversification that you've done from being a traditional urban property manager to now providing experiences, transport, villas in the country, further and broader, what would you say were the sort of, either we could phrase it, either the mistakes you made along that, or the challenges, or what you didn't know before you did it that you found difficult?
I think that's generally we did the right things, because it's not an easy path. It's not something that you can do in 1, 2, or 3 years. You must create the different companies from. They are almost all of them startups, and it's very difficult to create a startup and to grow and to have capacity to make a good job. So I think that that's why we took 15 years until we think that we consolidate the model. It's not something that we have done in, like I said, 1 or 2 years. So I think that we do that really well, and we are always improving. So I think that's the challenging now. It's try to be a good operator, also to leisure, also to business, in urban. It's not easy, but I think that we are doing the things well. Yeah.
You mentioned after the first question a bit about our next topic, which I want to dive a little bit deeper into it. We were at Vitter, and this is what they were talking about a lot there too, was balancing this new regulations that are coming out and being flexible. Short-term rental regulations continue to evolve, pushing many operators to diversify their offerings. How can hospitality businesses stay agile while ensuring compliance? And, what lessons can be learned from Field Group's approach to diversification?
First of all, I think that nowadays we don't consider ourselves as a short-term rental operator. We are an hospitality group. We look a lot for the needs of the customers, not our needs, not only the subsector of short-term rental. And for that, I think that's very important. Also, the directions that you have with local entities. And I can give you some examples. we talk a lot. I talk a lot with city council, and I present before I launch a project in Porto. I present the project to the city council. I try to see that if the offer that I'm preparing, it's good not only to visitors but for residents, and it's very important the relations that you can have with this type of entities. Also with the tourism, it's very important for us short-term rental industry that you think that the industry, it's very old, and you have people that do very well to the accommodation. The hotels are very good in what they do. So I think that we need to be near tourism branch for and try to follow the strategies of the country, not our own strategies, because it's very important to know if the country is prepared to receive more visitors, if the city is prepared. So I think it's also the network that you are able to do. Even the subsector associations, for instance, in Portugal, Alep talks a lot with the Association of Mobility, with the Association of Animation and Experiences, also with hotels. It's very important to share insights and not think that we are the right part of the equation, then they are the bad ones. No, it's not that. And with that, you can mitigate the risks that you have. You will always have risks in this type of sector, because tourism, it's almost always a trend, and the leisure tourism, it's almost it's a strong trend in sometimes, and sometimes no. So it's very important to make the right network and to be open to listen also what the other stakeholders of the industry of the tourism are doing.
It's such a refreshing approach, and it's not seen, everywhere, this kind of collaborative approach that you're talking about there. And I just want to reflect a little bit on Alep, actually, the association that you are is it the chair or the co-chair of?
No, I'm the vice president. Eduardo is the president and the face of Alep.
Honestly, last year, watching a presentation that talked about how you guys had, and in very simple terms, fought and won, basically, against very draconian, kind of unfair regulations in Portugal, it was actually really moving how you all sort of came together, almost like a grassroots kind of campaign of getting your voices heard, the businesses that are impacted, the communities that are impacted positively, was very, it was incredibly impressive. I just want to go a little bit deeper into what you said about, and basically it's making sure that offering that you're providing, your hospitality offering, makes sense in the place and the location that you're in, so that you are working with communities and transport providers or whatever it is, that you're not just saying, I want a business, I'm going to shove it here. You're thinking mindfully about the impact that it has and the way that it integrates with the wider community, I guess. And has that always been the way that you've approached things, or is that something that you've kind of learned as you've gone along with Field Group?
Yeah, I think that we are always learning, but in Alep, for instance, we always look for a balanced way a balanced strategy, and that's why we are not against regulation. We are not against the scheme of registration. It's very important to have the scheme of registrations in short-term rental, so that you can know how much licenses do you have, if you have pressure or not. Because if you don't have the registrations, if you don't have data, you are always talking about perceptions, and perceptions go against perception. It's the difficult things that you have in the world. So in Portugal, with the registration scheme, we are able to talk with local entities, with the government, with data, with real data, and that's very important. But at the same time, we always talk in the board member of Alep that we must be balanced. It's not only to have freedom to open wherever we want in short-term rental. We must look at the city. We must look at the capacity that the city have, and we must. It's very important, and that's why we are very proud, because we are called to have meetings with the city council to talk about the regulation, for example, of Porto or Lisbon or Faro, and that's very important, to be proactive, to be balanced, and not always against. They are them against us. That's not the way that we see that. And in Field Group, we think the same thing. We think we like to talk to the official entities. We like to ask them if they agree with this type of project. For instance, the vertical buildings that we have, the city council loved it, because we are not only working or creating offer for visitors, but also for residents. And that's very important, to talk to this type of entities and to try to be balanced.
And the co-working, the flexible co-working offering that you have, why has that sort of come about? Is that kind of part of those discussions that you've had, within the community, saying, okay, this is what we need, or like, how has it come about, that kind of the co-working offering?
In the first moment, it was something that we think about. We want to create an offer for a business traveler. So the business travel doesn't need only accommodation, need a space to work, a space to call someone that's that he wants to know, he wants to negotiate, he wants to make presentation. So in the first moment, the thing was, I need to have something different to the business travelers, different than an hotel, for instance. But after that, we talk a lot with official entities, and we talk with Investport. Investport, it's a program, how can I say? It's also a branch from the city council that tries to get foreign investment in Porto city center, like a tech hub. And we talk to them and we ask them, what are the needs of the city, to not only in office spaces, but also in accommodation? What are the needs of the city? What type of project can I make to fit the needs of the new companies, the new multinationals that are coming to Porto? And I think that's the strategy that we take to this type of project.
Before Kristian's going to give Kristian a word in edgewise, but I always have to say this: it feels like everybody is moving to Portugal, or certainly has over the last 3 years. It is the country, isn't it? You poor thing.
Yeah, we are the trend now.
Portugal is great, and it's a great place to work as well, especially when the weather's not so good here in other parts of Europe. I wanted to talk a bit more on the future of co-working here. I think we can dive a little bit deeper into that subject. How do you see this balance between private offices and open co-working evolving? And, more importantly, what role does hospitality play in shaping the future of these work environments?
First of all, we try to have the most flexible workspaces that you can imagine. We try to have open space in traditional co-working spaces. We try to have private offices. We try to have shared kitchens, leisure spaces, but also we always provide accommodation in the building, in the same building of the co-working. And that's why we talk about hospitality, not only a place to work, not only a place to stay, but a place to live, a place to work, to relax, to make network, and at the same time, with this type of buildings that we call vertical buildings, and I can tell you guys that the vertical buildings, the model is in the ground floors we have flexible workspaces with private offices, with the co-working, with open spaces, with shared kitchen. At least 1,000 square meters, okay, because we need, it's not an empty room or a meeting room, it's a co-working space, okay. Then in the top floors, we have serviced apartments for accommodation, not only for the the business travel, but also for city breaks. And then you can, with the both communities, the community from the work and the community from the accommodation, even the leisure ones, we can merge both communities, and we try to have always a rooftop for events. And it's in that point, the event point, where we merge both communities, not in the common areas, the stairs, but in the event points. And it's really amazing that we, and also the local community. It's amazing when you are able to do, for instance, a presentation of a new book, a local writer, with people that comes for a city break and people that works there. It's incredible, the combinations that you are able to do, and the different type of persons that we can impact in that. So I think that we are not a co-working operator. We are an hospitality group that try to have flexible buildings, and that type of buildings can have, for the last one that we have, vertical co-working down Henrique, we have accommodation, we have open spaces, we have private offices, but we have also a work cafe. And the provider, it's an external one, and you have the work cafe, you have the shared kitchen if you want to make our own lunch, but you can go to the work cafe. You have a wellness and performance center. You must feel that the building is alive, and you have a lot of things happening all the time, during the day with the people that's working, in the evening people that arrives from the tours that they made from the leisure events at the evening, also at night people that are staying there. So I think that's something that we are still building. It's not a mature concept. We are doing that. We have three vertical buildings in Porto. We are opening now 2 in São Paulo, and we are also preparing 1 in Lisbon. And that's our we aim to have not the perfect buildings, but good buildings, flexible ones that people want to be there.
Yeah, and one of the questions I was going to ask is, are you considering, or would you consider food and beverage? And it sounds like in one you are kind of working with a partner.
Yeah, but not for our own. I think that we must make agreements with professional providers. From it's very difficult. That's one of the things that we are not managing hotels until now. It's because of food and beverage. I think it's very difficult to do that.
Yeah, and I guess that is, if you find the right partner and you've got the right space, then
yeah, for sure.
But I have a question before we kind of move on, and I'm very ignorant about this and about the Portuguese market here. But what is the sort of the real estate offering? Like, are you going into old buildings and refitting them out? Like, is that because it feels to me like there is quite a lot of perhaps old buildings in the Portuguese cities that are kind of ripe for being converted.
Yeah, in the city center, in CBD of Porto and Lisbon, of course, it's always rebuilding. We are not able to make new construction, so we look for that type of projects. But I think that nowadays you have development companies that are looking a lot for that, and they are looking also to operators that can bring models like the vertical one to this type of buildings. Not only because it's not only accommodation, it's not only short-term rental, it's not only hotel. It's a different concept, and I think that nowadays it's I don't think a trend, but it's something that it's starting, and we are talking a lot.
I think it is the future, isn't it? It is part of that mixed use developments and things, isn't it? Where you've got different communities using it, and I know this is more hospitality based, but using a place in different ways, but using it together.
And even in a financial perspective, it's easier to rentabilize every square meter of a building in a model like that, where I have the ground floor. The ground floor, it's always a problem to an hotel, because it's a non-profit space, and we are able with the the flexible workspaces. We are able to monetize every square meter. So I think even for the business plans, it's very important to this type of models, new model.
Yeah, for sure. I want to move on to our next subject, which is integrating hospitality, community, and experience. You mentioned a bit of it when you're talking about the vertical hospitality, but Phil Group has always placed a strong emphasis on integrating local culture into its spaces through art and events. How can hospitality operators create these events that go beyond just accommodation or place to stay to fostering these real connections and a sense of belonging, ultimately creating loyalty to that brand?
Yeah, like I said before, we try to make a connection with local people, with local writers, local painters, local companies, small companies, local providers, and I think that's very important. And I can share with you guys a program that Porto, the city council have nowadays that calls the Trust Porto. It's a program where the city council looks at the projects not only for sustainability, not only for the license, but also the impact that you have in the local economy. And you have a lot of points that you must fulfill that to have the certification, the stamp of what they call trust buildings or and I think that's one of the main points of the project. It's very important to look at the project not only for the scheme of rebuilding or the exploitation, but also to understand where is it the building is located, the impact that I can have in the neighborhoods, in the local providers, small ones. And we are looking a lot for that. It's not an easy way. It's not something that you have already. How can I say? It's not something that you can find looking for Google. And I'm going to search for a model of network of relation with the local economy. But that's something that for sure we must look at. It's very important to be aware of the impact of that the new projects, accommodation, working, work cafe, wellness, can have in the local ecosystem. And we are not telling that only because it's good to talk about a relation with local, because we are doing that in the vertical building. It's something real. It's not a sentence that we can say, but I think that's the point. And in that, one more time, I must talk about the local entities, because they are the ones that can make this connection between the local residents and the people that are making business. And that's why it's very important, again, to be really near for the city council, the city programs, the tourism branch. I think that's the main point of the words hospitality, community, and experience. Must be a true experience, not something that we create because the cities already have the real experiences for the residents.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You go to Porto for what you can see in Porto and what you can eat in Porto.
Yeah, for sure. For heat, for
Yeah.
sure.
Can we talk about tech now, Nuno? And
Yeah.
what I'm thinking is, in vertical hospitality, you've got so many kind of touch points, so many places where things could potentially go wrong. You've also got different workflows of what might happen, either from the operational perspective or from the kind of the guest needs and perspectives and experience. How is the tech work for you? And we don't need to talk about specific companies or anything, but it must be pretty hard to find the right partners to help you do your job, basically, when you've got those kind of all those different elements that are happening.
Yeah, Jessica. First of all, let me say that in Phil Group we have three main vectors: talent, people, and it's always the first one, even with the best tools. Processes, we are crazy about processes because it's the only way to scale to another cities, another countries. It's very important. The hotels do that incredibly. The processes, they are very good planning the processes and structuring them. So we look for talent, processes, and then tools, digital tools. And you were talking about the challenge that we have. It's huge because we are not only working with tools for accommodation. For instance, I can share with you guys. We have the core tools. We have PMS, the property management system, that all people in the sector knows that. We have also the OMS, the office management system, to manage the flexible workspaces. We have the TMS for transportation, and we have also the tool to manage the experiences, the boat trips, the tours, and so. And we are only talking about the core runs, not the access control, the revenue management tools, the guest experience tool, the digital guides, the everything. So for us, in the ideal world, we dream to have only one tool. And why? Because if you have only one tool, for sure you will have a simple experience for your visitor, for your customer. And I think that's the most important about the technology, the automation, is to have the best journey for the client, and the best journey nowadays, it's a simple one. People don't want to have a lot of tools, a lot of access control. So what we are doing now in Field Group, and I can share that, I can share that with no problem. We work with this type of core tools like PMS, OMS, but we also have a central one, a data warehouse that it's our own tool. It's a data warehouse where we collect all the data and where we integrate all these systems. And for us, it's important because we are able in the future to decide what's better for us. We always will keep all the data, and for us it's very important to have all the data that we can collect, all the experience. At this nowadays we manage 60,000 clients per year in the different companies, in the different offers of Field Group. So it's very important, this data, because we can work in that and see the trends, the things that the people want more, where they want to stay. And I think it's that we work a lot with digital tools. We have I think a good ecosystem, digital ecosystem, but we try not to be dependent of one tool, and we try to keep that for us. And that the future we are talking with about a lot of providers, if we are able to merge all the tools in one tool for a flexible building or a flexible offer, it will be great.
Yeah, and I guess it's you said about making it simpler for the guests, but also simpler for your team, for the talent as well, which is just as important. It's really interesting just to see how it's kind of all working for you. But having that one place where you've got all the data is really incredible, because of course you can really learn from that, can't you? You can really iterate and learn what your guests are really doing, and I guess how you can improve the business as you go along. Like, a lot of people have data, but it's so siloed, isn't it? So using tools, business intelligence tools, AI tools or whatever, to kind of really understand your business and your
But
customers.
Jessica, let me say something. Sometimes it's not easy to decide what to do with the data. Sometimes we have so many
I
data
just keep it and then decide. Do what you're doing, keep it, and then the answer will come. But at least
we are always trying to
numbers.
have more.
Yeah.
I suppose one question on that. Well, actually, two questions on that. You know, one of the biggest topics at the last event we were at was all about AI in this industry. Are you guys using any AI tools? And if so, what kind of AI are you using? And then secondly, you know, with the data that you're collecting, I wonder on, you know, from an operator's perspective, you know, the guest and resident data, do you use any of this to enhance the personalization for the service that you're providing them?
We are starting to use AI. We are not the best in class in that, but we use the copilot to the meetings. We use the another for another things AI tools, but we are not obsessed in that. I think that we are still in the beginning, and we of course we use AI in our revenue management tool. We use AI in our digital guides. The, the providers that are working, the partners that are working with us, they are doing the path with AI. So I think it's not it's crucial to be aware of the importance of the AI, but it's now the focus on our investments for now. I can tell you that. And sorry, Kristian, the second one is
The second one is, you know, you're talking about all the data and having too much data and collecting, not knowing what to use it for. But I wonder, with the data that you're collecting on your guests or your residents, do you use any of this data to enhance, you know, the personalization and the service across the different things that you provide?
yeah, for many years with the data that we collect, we tried to have a guest profile to make to prepare the best check-in that we can. But nowadays, more than that, we are looking for that data in the way of the client, the CRM, the client relationship manager, because with a lot of companies, it's very difficult to merge because we have different tools and we have the leads can enter in different platforms, and it's very important to collect the data, because sometimes we look at a customer that stayed with Phil Porter 2 years ago, and we don't know, and he's doing now a boat trip. And if you don't have if you don't collect the data and you don't share the data with all the companies, the experience can be bad, because we don't really know the customer. Okay, the customer passed to us in the 2 years ago, but I'm not aware that she's or she or he is are here again, and they are with Phil Group because they love what they experienced in the past. So I think it's very important for us the data, not only for the client, also for the investor, because nowadays we are very sure of the business plan that we make in each city, in each country, because we have a lot of data to support that.
I've got a final question for you, Nuno. You mentioned that you've got two, or you're opening two, vertical hospitality buildings in Sao Paulo. So you're going in another country, on another continent.
We are already in São Paulo for 1.5 years, but until now we have two buildings, but only accommodation. We are not able to open a vertical building. We are now making the rebuilding of a building near Avenida Paulista that will have a co-working space, or office flexible workspace, and service department, and event spaces. So, because for us it's important for differentiation, because if I'm only an operator that goes there and open 2, 5, 10 new accommodation buildings, what's the difference between the Field Group and another international group operator accommodation. It's not that, because we want to. Nowadays, the core projects for us is the vertical buildings, for sure.
And are they going, like, is it how different is the experience of opening one in Brazil compared to Portugal? Like, do they understand what you're doing? Did they want it there? Like, what are the sort of challenges?
We look a lot for the market in the past 3 years, and that's why we decided to go to São Paulo. You only have in Europe one city similar to São Paulo in the business way. It's London. It's the only one, because São Paulo, London, they are incredible business city, and this type of project, it's mostly it's more to corporate people. Okay, we can have leisure people, but it's more for corporate business travel, or even leisure ones, because nowadays it's not only leisure or business. You have the leisure. A lot of people that stays with us in this type of buildings wants the leisure, wants the central location, but also the space to have meetings, to work, and to be near the partners.
Well, I think that we got through a lot of topics today, but I guess one more question for you, Nuno. If people are interested in what you guys are doing, any events or anything coming up that they should know about, or where can they go?
Now we are looking to consolidate or to grow in the two new locations. Lisbon and São Paulo are our main strategy is that, because we are really well in Porto. We manage 17 buildings, 3 of them with vertical ones. We have the boats, we have the private villas. So in Porto and also Portugal, we are really consolidated. But now we need to grow in Lisbon. We will have a great and incredible project in Lisbon, inside a business hub with 100 apartments and co-working space in 2027. We won a big contest of the project, international one, and we are preparing that. We are opening 1 or 2 more mid-sized buildings, 20, 30 apartments, also in Lisbon, and then in São Paulo we have a business plan to have 4 or 5 buildings. We are nowadays with 2, and we need 2 more for vertical ones. So I think now we must look to consolidate. It's not in Lisbon, it's easier, but in São Paulo we have challenges, not only operational of commercial, because in that we are really good, but the culture and the taxes are very different, so it's not an easy country. So
Nuno, you're a busy man, so thank you so much for taking the time to come on Pillow Talk Sessions. It's been really interesting, and the concept of vertical hospitality and a vertical hospitality building, is great.
Thank you.
And that wraps it up for us today. So thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of Pillow Talk Sessions. To stay connected and catch every new episode, do us a favor and head over to pillowtalksessions.com to subscribe. And be sure to follow us on LinkedIn for more insights and interviews with leaders who are shaping the future of hospitality, multifamily living, and community-driven spaces. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Pillow Talk Sessions.